During the Trump administration, there was a meme called Trumpgret. It's like regret, but Trumpgret. It wasn't a particularly good meme, mind you, but it was like people posting on social media various texts, whatever, statements, photos of people who had voted for Trump who came to regret it. We now have, ladies and gentlemen, another really awful meme, Bidengret. Bidengret, I guess, whatever. People who voted for Biden and then have come to regret it. Notably, Dr. Naomi Wolf. Now, this story is actually pretty awesome. And at least initially, I've got some optimism. Naomi Wolf went on Tucker Carlson last night, and she's calling out the totalitarian state before our eyes under Biden. Naomi Wolf famously, just after it was declared Joe Biden was the winner, she came out and said if she had known, she said this, if I'd known Biden was open to lockdowns, as he now states, which is something historically unprecedented in any pandemic and a terrifying practice, one that won't ever end, and because elites love it, I would never have voted for him. Now, I'll say a couple things. With respect to Dr. Wolf, it's fantastic that she came out. She's calling this out. She went on Tucker Carlson last night, and she said freedom to worship is being threatened. Our Fourth Amendment is being threatened. Free speech is being threatened, and I can respect that. Part of me, however, is rather upset that it's quite convenient and easy for her to have voted for Joe Biden, getting him into office, and now being like, oh, but Biden is bad. See, we're seeing that a lot from many leftists. They screamed and hemmed and hawed about how bad Trump was and how we had to have Biden. But did any of them actually do their due diligence before they decided to vote for a man who had been in office for 47 years, who oversaw the Iraq War and the expansion in the Middle East under Obama? Did anybody bother to actually do that research? Well, I guess people like me, because I'm center left politically, even though it doesn't really matter because left and right doesn't mean anything these days. But I took a look at what Biden had to offer. I took a look at what Hillary Clinton had to offer. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. But when I saw what Biden was bringing to the table, I was like, dude, we can't have this. OK, I did my homework. Naomi Wolf didn't. So it's unfortunate. But I can say this. At this point, there's nothing to be done. You're not going to go back and change your vote now. So I'll say this to Dr. Wolf, welcome to the fight. And I have tremendous respect for you appearing on Tucker Carlson and writing the things you have written. Many people on the left are probably getting a cold wake up call, a splash of a bucket of water just right in the face. And I want to read this story about what Naomi Wolf is warning about because she's a leftist and I respect that she's coming out and saying this. But I also want to point out another area of regret for Biden voters. The Washington Post posted this tweet. First migrant facility for children opens under Biden. Please tell me what you hated so much about Donald Trump. See, I'm sorry. I knew. Most of you did. We all knew. Trump is not perfect. Trump has a lot of problems. Trump did a lot of really bad things. But Joe Biden was going to do exactly the same things. It's not going to be any different. The problem is, with Donald Trump, you had a bull in the ivory tower, as I describe it, and it was causing panic among the establishment elites. They were freaking out. Now, Trump still did some bad things, but he did a lot of good things, a lot of things I liked. And I'm like, look, if I got to pick between Donald Trump, who's an outsider, who's causing establishment problems, and the establishment and what they're going to do the same things you're complaining about under Trump. You call Trump a fascist? Wait till Joe Biden gets in and goes back to the policies that we used to have under Obama and Bush. It'll be way worse. So please spare me this fake outrage. Now you have people who have voted for Joe Biden who are regretting it. And you know what? I ain't here to rag on these people. A lot of people want to gloat and laugh and say Biden regret. Why would you do that? That's the wrong move. You know what you do? To those people who voted for Joe Biden and are now upset about it, you reach out your hand to shake their hand and say, welcome to the fight. Because, look, we can try and rehash the past and be upset about it and be mad that Trump didn't win or whatever. Or we can say, okay, what can we do now? So I get it. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. So we better pay attention to what happened. We better pay attention to that Kavanaugh, Coney Barrett, and the other Supreme Court justices refused to hear the PA mail-in voting case. Clarence Thomas, epic. Imagine being as spineless and cowardly as, say, like Brett Kavanaugh or Amy Coney Barrett. And imagine being as brave and as principled as Justice Clarence Thomas. Now, look, I don't know what their reasoning is for the most part, why they decided not to hear this election fraud. It was the mail-in voting case. in Pennsylvania. Clarence Thomas says, we didn't adjudicate this before the election and now after, so we've not clarified any of the rules. People are not going to have faith in the vote, in voting. Yeah. I think these other justices are just cowards. But anyway, I digress. Trump is the one who put those people in, so I can only say, you see, it ain't perfect. Trump did not do a perfect job. You got your conservative justices, and then they didn't stand up for, I guess, the rule of law. But I'll say this to people like Naomi Wolf, welcome to the fight. I thought the left was there for a long time. They're not. Some people will probably say it's awfully convenient that people like Naomi Wolf are all of a sudden now coming out and saying, oh, Biden's actually bad, because their whole shtick is always being anti-establishment. With Donald Trump as president, they had to oppose Trump, which means they had to support Biden. And now with Biden president, it's, Biden is bad. I see it now. Well, I'll tell you this. Fine, whatever. I'm not going to question the integrity of individuals. I'll take what I can get. If people are angry with Biden, I'll accept that. And I'll say, let's criticize the man and then, be critical of what Democrats are doing. I also want to stress one important point. I am not right now, based on the news I'm seeing about these child migrant detention facilities, going to scream and cry about kids in cages, because Biden has to have these unaccompanied minors placed somewhere. I don't want them in, harsh conditions. They should be, taken care of. I was, previously saying that we should have families stay together. But if we have kids coming across the border unaccompanied and we can't determine who their parents are, then we need to put them in some kind of holding facility, man. It's not because we're trying to cage or imprison or torture these kids. So I'm not overly critical of Biden for that. Now, the left is realizing, however, you're going to get the same thing you get with Biden that you got with Trump. Here's a story from Fox News. Ex-Clinton advisor Naomi Wolf warns U.S. becoming totalitarian state before our eyes under Biden. Author tells Tucker Carlson tonight, Americans must wake up before it's too dangerous to fight back. Wolf, who served as an advisor to Bill Clinton's re-election campaign in 1996, told Tucker Carlson that in her view, the United States is swiftly moving into a coup situation, a police state, as a result of Biden's ongoing coronavirus-related economic shutdowns. Wolf added that she believes the orders are being improperly extended under the guise of a real medical pandemic. Quote, "This is not a partisan thing," Wolf told Carlson. "That transcends everything that you and I might disagree or agree on. That should bring together left and right to protect our Constitution." Wolf has ramped up her warnings against extended lockdowns on Twitter in recent months. In November, the author wrote on Twitter that Biden's openness to reinstating additional shutdowns made her question her decision to vote for him. Look, respect, absolute respect for coming out and saying the right thing. Quote, "The state has now crushed businesses, kept us from gathering in free assembly to worship as the First Amendment provides, is invading our bodies, which is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, restricting movement, fining us in New York State. The violations go on and on," she said. The outspoken liberal, who previously authored a book outlining the 10 steps that would be tyrants that would-be tyrants always take when they want to close down a democracy. She believes the United States is heading towards what she refers to as step 10. So you're saying that we're there? It's been a month. Joe Biden has been president for a month and he's already accomplished it. Is that, or is step 10 the first step? Is it go backwards? I don't know. No, step 10 is the last one. Whether they're on the left or right, they do these same 10 things, Wolf explained. And now we're at something I never thought I would see in my lifetime. It is step 10. And that is the suspension of the rule of law. And that is when you start to be a police state. And we're here. There is no way around it. You know what, man? Look, again, with respect, because I can appreciate her coming out and speaking out against this. The Democrat governors have been doing this for a year. You want to talk about step 10 from Biden? Biden sat back as all of these Democrat governors literally murdered elderly people. One of these individuals was the, I don't know the official position, the individual that Joe Biden has nominated for the health secretary. Well, this person in Pennsylvania took their parent out of a nursing home while sick patients were being put in nursing homes, killing many. Cuomo did the same thing. Cuomo lied about it. Cuomo covered up the numbers, but many governors literally killed the elderly by taking sick people and putting them in nursing homes. Why? They had to know. There's no way that I'm sorry. You're never going to convince me these people were stupid enough to be like, I know, let's put sick COVID patients in with the most vulnerable. Tens of thousands died because of this. In New York, it was around 13,500 individuals. And Cuomo, the governor, covered this up. So you want to tell me about step 10 for Joe Biden? I'm listening for sure. But how about we talk about the other governors and the nightmarish things they did and the people they killed? Wolf said that she has interviewed U.S. citizens of various backgrounds and political affiliations who are in a state of shock and horror as autocratic tyrants at the state and now national level are creating this kind of merger of corporate power and government power, which is really characteristic of totalism, fascism in the 1920s, she told Carlson. I completely agree. They are using that to engage in emergency orders that simply strip us of our rights. Rights to property, rights to assembly, rights to worship, all the rights the Constitution guarantees. Wolf called the United States overall response to the coronavirus pandemic completely unprecedented, arguing that lockdowns have never been done in a society. And really, we are turning into a totalitarian state before everyone's eyes. You know, it's a shame that you and I, the people watching this, we've been saying this for probably about like 8 months. You look, when they initially locked things down, we were all kind of in favor of it. I say kind of because it was like begrudgingly, we have to do something, right? It was pretty scary, the videos we were seeing. And then after a certain point, it's like, okay, we need to ease this. And they didn't. 15 days became a month, became 2 months, became 5. And now we're going on almost a year of a total lockdown. People are still wearing masks. Many businesses have been completely destroyed. And now, a year later, we get Naomi Wolf speaking up. So again, I'm not trying to rag on her because being late to the party, you're still at the party. I just wish many of these leftists were paying attention. And you know, I don't necessarily hold it against the individuals who didn't know. I blame the media, the Trump derangement syndrome that blinded these people. Wolf called the U.S.'s response, to totalitarian state, quote, I really hope we wake up quickly, she said, because history also shows that it's a small window in which people can fight back before it's too dangerous to fight back. Okay. There was a chance to fight back. That chance's name was Donald Trump. I know the left just hated him so much. And I love it when I see these leftists say, Bernie Sanders was cheated, but Joe Biden won fair and square. Okay, dude, pick one. Like, whatever. I think Bernie Sanders was cheated because the Democratic primaries are privately controlled. And I think, as I've said often, Trump got Ocean's 11'd by all these changing policies. Like the Democrats made their moves well before the election to give themselves serious advantages. And Time Magazine basically said it. Call it whatever you will. I'll avoid the more direct language and you can make up your opinion. But here we are. Joe Biden is going to be president for 4 years. Kamala Harris, apparently, according to some reports, is fielding phone calls with foreign leaders for him. Is Joe Biden actually even the president? Did y'all vote for a guy who wasn't actually going to do anything and wasn't doing anything just because you hated Donald Trump? Well, then I'm sorry. Listen, it would be great if they all came out now and I don't know if they impeach Biden and Harris and then have like a recall vote or whatever. I don't know how that happens. I don't think that's something that happens at the national level. But if people like Naomi Wolf and everyone else came out now, I tell you what, here's your opportunity. And I'd be interested in this. How about y'all vote to impeach Joe Biden? Maybe it'll happen in 2022. Get him actually impeached and convicted, maybe over the China scandal and the lockdowns. And then there you go. You get a new vote and maybe you get Bernie Sanders or something. I'm willing to bet that if there was a big push by a general populist, we hate Biden, it would work. Now, this could be dangerous. It could be a bad thing because the neo-lib, corporate Dem establishment would probably just still maintain control of everything as they do. And the corporate press basically has a stranglehold over regular people who don't seek out information. That's why the New York Times wrote this very hilarious article the other day, or it was actually a couple days ago. It said, critical thinking, as we've been taught, is not helping. And the opening line says, stop overthinking the things you read. That's right. Just accept whatever the mainstream media says. Don't challenge any of it. No, I'm sorry. That's the opposite of what you should do. You should take a look at exactly what they're saying, why they're saying it, and then seek out the sources to determine if what they're saying is true and credible. But that's where we're at. The mainstream media wants to maintain its stranglehold over, they want a unified monoculture. To be honest, I can understand why. I mean, we're a divided nation. The internet is allowing the opportunity for people to find smaller and more niche kind of, places to communicate or to absorb information. For instance, it used to be that there were like 5 TV news anchors. Now there's probably thousands of news anchor style personalities, and where you'd have millions of people getting all of their information and opinions from one guy. So they were basically unified. You have people getting their opinions from a bunch of different people. I mean, check it out. If you watch this show, I mean, there's probably many Trump supporters, but the staunchest Trump supporters don't like me. And they've posted things saying that, they won't support me and that I'm wrong and that they think Trump won and all that stuff. And that's fine. Whatever. You're allowed to believe what you want. And there are many leftists who don't like me. This is a rather moderate, channel for political commentary, I guess, as milquetoast, perhaps, as some would say. So you're not going to get socialists and you're not going to get the diehard Trump supporters, nor any of the far right, watching a channel like this for the most part. I'm sure there actually is a decent amount of, far leftists who watch and have sent me compliments. No joke. Whatever, even though I'm fairly critical of them. I guess they respect something about the show. And there are far right people. I guess they hate watch too. But imagine if you watched, say, like Kyle Kalinske. Your worldview is going to be dramatically different than if you watch a channel like mine. And these are not particularly large channels. I think Kyle, I'm not sure how many subs he has, just shy of 1 million. And then, this channel has just about 1.1 million. And so people are no longer going to that one voice. They're no longer just going to Tucker Carlson. Many people are choosing to get their news specifically from smaller creators. What that means is, where you used to have maybe 5 different trains of thought that were mostly unified, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, whatever, and they'd come out and say, here's what we think. You now have these thousands. So there's someone who's going to come out and say, I watched Tim Pool and he said X. What are you talking about? I watched the Young Turks and they said Y. You're crazy. And then they fight. And so as long as there's this incentive for these channels to pander to a tribe, which is something I don't try doing. I'll say what I think. Like I did a rant about, institutional racism. Like, can't imagine that's endearing to many on the right who don't believe it exists. And I'll just try to be principled and say what I think. But many on the left, many are scared of their tribe and will say whatever the tribe wants. And that's a problem, especially when there's different, sects of each tribe. I digress. I don't want to get into all that. I do want to talk a little bit about what's going on with this Biden administration migrant facility, because this story came out from the Washington Post. And it's another example of a form of Biden regret. So I want to highlight this because I need to say, as much as I've referenced the Biden regret, it is unfair to claim that Biden voters would have chosen Trump. Many of them knew this was going to happen. There's a tweet from the Gravel Institute you may be familiar with. They're trying to be like a left-wing PragerU. And they made a tweet saying, Joe Biden's not getting the stimulus check. He's going back on immigration or something like that. I don't know exactly what they said, but they said, when are we going to learn we can't trust Democrats? And then many people were like, haha, look, the Gravel Institute. Oh, you guys voted for Biden and now you regret it. Hey, you learned your lesson, blah, blah. No, the Gravel Institute always hated Joe Biden. These Democrats, these lefties, always hated Joe Biden. They just hated him less than Donald Trump. That's what I disagreed with. Cam Caskey says, guys, stop getting upset. He has stated multiple times that he likes ice cream, making the point. Many people were saying vote for Joe Biden because they loved him. That was dumb. But many of these progressives, younger leftists, were saying vote for Joe Biden because Trump is a fascist. That's stupid because Joe Biden's essentially the same thing, I guess, with a smile on his face. That was the problem. Donald Trump was the nasty guy on TV and Joe Biden was like the same thing, but whatever. Why any of these people would be like, I think the establishment should be in charge. I'm like, dude, if they're both awful, then give the outsider the keys to the castle. So at least you can get a different outsider in later. You let the establishment back in, they're going to lock the doors up. So anyway, look, the point is, just because many of these leftists are coming out now and saying, look what Biden is doing, he's awful, doesn't mean that they're regretting their decision. If given the choice between this and Donald Trump, they probably still would vote against Trump. And I think they are wrong for it. But I'm glad they're now ragging on Joe Biden. And this creates something very strange, a united front against the establishment. So you know what? I'll take what I can get. And my advice to all the Trump supporters is when you see Naomi Wolf, be like Tucker Carlson. Invite her on the show, give her the respect and praise for coming out and saying it, even if it's late to the party. When you see people like Cameron Kasky, fairly lefty, anti-Trump, anti-Republican, all that stuff. Respect. I mean, to be honest, I don't like Republicans either. They're like, a garbage party. And I think most Trump supporters agree. So if you've got these leftists coming out and they're saying Biden is bad, I'm going to be like, yes, thank you, good sir. I agree. And here we go. So I don't know what that means, for 2020, 2022, 2024. I think it means, however, the Democrats are in serious trouble. And not just the Democrats. I think it's the Republicans too, but the Republicans are a pathetic, leaderless, feckless party. Donald Trump effectively is the leader of the Republicans, but come on, nobody likes the Republicans. Everybody hates the Democrats and everybody hates the Republicans. Jacobin wrote an article, it's a socialist magazine, where they said everybody hates Democrats, and they are correct. And I think they should just add another article, everybody hates Republicans too. Now, look, there are some people who like Democrats and there are some people who like Republicans. But when they say everybody, I think they're referring to like a majority. Republicans don't like Democrats. Trump supporters don't like Democrats. And progressive leftists and even Democrats don't like Democrats. So I'll tell you this. I think the establishment is routed. They have fallen from their horse and they are fleeing as we chase behind. And in 2022, we'll see what happens. So I do have some optimism here. I do. I have concerns over the culture war, don't get me wrong, and the progression of critical race theory and things like that. Politically, however, I'm optimistic the establishment might get knocked off their horse and then ousted, essentially. I don't care for these Republicans. A lot of people are saying, Tim, you still have to vote Republican again because 2022. We'll see, man. If we get like a libertarian type, we'll see. We'll see. There are a lot of people who said, look what the Democrats do when they get power. So maybe the answer is we get Democrats in who are not these corporate garbage politicians. The problem, however, is that when these 31 moderates got elected, promising to focus on issues, they went full culture war, bent the knee to Nancy Pelosi and begged her, just tell me what to do because I'm a spineless coward. And Nancy Pelosi was like, do as you're told and vote to impeach. But my constituents want health care. No, Nancy Pelosi wants to yell at Trump. So you yell at Trump because you're a spineless loser. Well, some of these spineless losers lost re-election for being spineless losers. So we'll see how things play out. We need to get rid of the corporate establishment politicians. That includes these Republicans and Democrats. And so for a period, I suppose I fell into a similar trap as many of these leftists, saying I'd rather have the Republicans than the Democrats. At this point, I'm like, geez, the Republicans squandered every opportunity to do the right thing because they don't want to do the right thing. They don't care to do the right thing. They're not going to fight for your rights. They're not going to fight to oppose censorship. A small handful will. But in the end, it's one big party. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.